You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Matt Migaki, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians. We talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. If you've ever wanted to sneak backstage and share a beer with one of your favorite musicians, well, Vox and Hops is the podcast for you. This week on the podcast, I dropped a killer episode with Johannes Ekström of Avatar. There is this episode and over 440 other ones to help you enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. So what are you waiting for? It's time to become a Vox and Hops head. Cheers!
Hey there, good people of the internet. Let me tell you about something. I would like to tell you about Gun Street Wiring Shop. They are a small shop located in Bend, Oregon, one of my favorite places on the planet. And I just a little bit ago, finished an install of their Treble Bleed kit in my early 2000s Les Paul Special. And I've never done this before. I was definitely a noob, and still am a noob, but I'm also much more comfortable after having gone through the process. Everything was laid out very nicely, so even a buffoon like me could have a pretty straightforward and smooth install. And if you have any problems, just email them directly, and they will help you through any sort of trouble you might be having with your wiring harness install. They do really, really nice work. Everything was really presented well, and Sean is a great guy. I don't know what else I can say about it. GunStreetWiringShop.com for all of your guitar wiring needs. We are also brought to you by the fantastic folks over at Sinusoid. Sinusoid Custom Cables, or as they call it, Pro Audio Couture. I don't even think that I'm legally allowed to say that. I don't think I'm a fancy enough guy to be able to say couture, but I just did, because that's what it says on their stuff. But anyhow, let's talk about TechFlex. You know what TechFlex is, right? It's that plastic sort of netting that you can get on your cable. It protects it from the rigors of the road. It looks great. It's a wonderful addition, and they've got it in all kinds of colors. They got it in all the colors, basically. Maybe there's a new color, a color we haven't seen before. Wouldn't that blow your mind? I've actually talked about that before with some other guys. Anyway, go to sinusoid.com. If you don't see what you need, don't hesitate to get in touch with them, because they can probably make it for you. So that's sinusoid.com. Yeah! Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the ToneMob.com podcast, the show about guitar tone and the people behind it. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me again, I have returning one of my favoritist East Coast dwelling, or just people in general, builders, Mr. Ryan Ratajski from Fuzzrocious Pedals. How you doing, sir?
What's up, homie? Hi, I'm doing just fine. I truly don't really have anything to complain about, but I'm sure I'll complain about a few things during the podcast. But no, everything's good. Everything's kind of a-okay.
Kind of a-okay. I know that feeling.
How are you?
Me? Wow, no one ever asked me about me. I'm so flustered. No, I'm grand. Things are going swell over here, you know. Getting caught up on some casting, getting caught up on various projects and things, and yeah, digging trenches, wrenching on cars. It's a whole thing over here. It's a whole package deal. It's wonderful.
Well, you didn't even mention putting out fires now, since you've transitioned over to full-time Tone Mob everything. Is it a consortium? Like, is it an umbrella company that you guys are with your marketing group? Like, is it under a different name?
It's Umbrella Incorporated. I don't know if that gets weird for anybody.
What if it's actually Umbrella Incorporated?
Yeah, we're Umbrella Incorporated. I don't know if that is okay to talk about or not, but that's what we went with. Seemed like a logical step to make.
It's transparent. It's your typical tube screamer of a company.
It definitely is. No, I mean, yeah, we run everything through the Tone Mob LLC entity as far as sending out invoices and whatnot is concerned. It seems to just make sense. Thought about forming a different thing altogether for it, but it didn't really seem necessary for not at the level we're doing it currently. So we'll see where it leads. But yeah, you mentioned fires. There's always fires to put out, as you know, when you start doing that. But yeah, it's been a really, we've talked about it a couple times, but it's been a really weird change for me, who's worked for somebody else since he was 16 years old. So I'm getting through it though. I'm not complaining. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, man. Here I am, like, almost 3.5 years in after quitting teaching, and it's still weird. It's definitely still odd to like not have to answer to anyone besides myself and the government. It's an odd transition when you've been working for someone since you were like a young teenager. And then you make your own rules, and then and even those rules start changing, especially because you don't work alone. You've also got other people that you work with. So, in your company. So that's also different too.
It is. And it's a good kind of different so far. It's just, I think you and I are wired kind of similarly, in that, we probably, I know based on talking to you, and maybe some of the newer listeners missed that one, but, we kind of both started as artists first, musician type people. And that seems to be the story with 99.9% of the industry. They start as a musician and kind of transition into doing other things, and then it attracts a certain type of person, which is good because it usually attracts cool, chill people, but it also doesn't generally attract, at least in this industry, like business mindset type people. Which
not too much. It's funny. I look at a company like Dwarfcraft, and you have Ben and Louise Hins, and you've got Ben, who's like your beautiful dreamer, and he's the artist, and he's got like all these like schemes and ideas of like what to do with the circuit and what's coming up next, whatever. And then you've got Louise, who keeps Ben in check, and then she's making sure that literally everything is running, on the business side of things, that like, all the releases are up, and and the apps, or not the apps, and the site is working, and credit card processing is working, and orders are coming. Like, it's most of the people in this industry, and I mean, and Louise plays music too, so that doesn't even buck that trend either. It's pretty hard for people who are at the people who like exhibit at NAMM kind of level in the industry. Yeah, it's pretty much musicians first.
And I think it's another thing too, because like if it was strictly a business move, a business type guy would probably go, no, that's not the industry I want to go into. Like if that's all
we both know that there's people who jump in this industry now who are not from the music industry. So, I wonder if we'll see actually more of that. Seeing that if somebody who can look at the metrics of what it takes to have a successful gear industry, and now like where digital pro like DSP is heading right now, that if you can hire somebody who's great at DSP, and that's their only job, and your only job is just to keep the boat afloat. I don't know. I wonder if we'll see a little bit more of that. I hope not, but
I think we might at a higher level than starting from soldering in your garage. You know what I mean? I think. Mm-hmm. I think the guy that starts soldering in his garage is always going to have came at it from a musical standpoint first, most likely. I can't see another world in which that happens. But maybe some of the higher level companies, they do kind of run the way you're talking. I just can't see anybody starting from zero that didn't have musical interests. I could be wrong though. there's plenty of, like, Leo Fender didn't play guitar famously, so there's that.
True. Or you even got, like, you know, Tom Kogut at Tomcat, who starts out as the drummer, but, like, dude can make some wicked bass and guitar and key effects. So
that's true.
Yeah, but still starting from the musician standpoint. So it still falls into our schema.
Musician, and he was like is an artist type person first. You know, he went to that's what he went to school for. That's what he worked on. That's where he like learned electronics, was doing all those massive electronic art installations. So like, I think it still stems from that. But I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm just theorizing, just blowing hard over here, which is what I do most of the day. Just spout my opinions.
Yeah, real quick. Let me sidestep back to Tom.
Please do.
Ran into Tom at the Deli Stompbox exhibit last weekend. He was wearing the cutest jumper. His girlfriend is designing him jumpers, so he's straight up wearing like uniform jumpers every day. He said he currently has 4 of them, so he can get through most of the week, you know, but he's got to do laundry again. And he's like, it's the most like comfortable, most functional thing for just like living your life. You know, pockets are like all in this one thing. You just take this one thing on and off. It's pretty ingenious.
Well, so I don't know. I haven't seen exactly what he's rocking these days. I do know that when my wife and I met him at Fear the Riff last year, and we talked for a little while, she got you and him mixed up momentarily, because, you know, I'm always spouting names. I'm like, oh, I was talking to Ryan, I was talking to Tom, or she's like, which Ryan, you know, who, what? You know, she gets mixed up because she's not actually involved in the day-to-day. But she was like, I can't remember if it was Ryan or Tom, the overall guy. I'm like, that was Tom.
Yeah, they both wear glasses. They both have you know, non-normal haircuts, and they both have are heavily tattooed. So overalls, not overalls.
Right.
Now,
exactly.
now you can tell her jumper, not a jumper, unless I get a jumper designed for us too.
I mean, it's not out of the question, is it?
No, it's definitely not out of the question. That's for sure.
So
what are you wearing right now, babe?
You know what I'm wearing. Come on, man. Like, everyone knows what I wear. Shorts, t-shirt. Bam. Rock and roll. All year.
Hat.
Only not wearing a hat just because I have these big headphones on, and they're not super comfy with a hat. But I will have a hat as soon as we're done recording. So
great. Good to know.
Unlike normal, though, because I just wanted to slide out to the shred shed real quick and you know, be in comfort, I'm actually wearing something that I kind of hate wearing unless I'm not doing anything and no one's going to see me, which would be some Ocean Pacific flip-flops from like 2002. I
thought you were going to say Crocs.
No, I can't. I don't see myself ever making that jump. I feel just as much shame about these as I do about Crocs, but you know, I understand the Croc appeal. They're comfy, they're squishy, they're breathable, much like these flippy floppies. So, not my usual footwear, but they're my. Gotta get going. Run out there real quick because they're just sitting there in the garage. And yeah, I've had the same one since I was like 13 or something.
Makes sense.
This is the fashion podcast, as everyone knows. We talk extensively about the latest trends and, you know, designer jumpers and all that good stuff. I did have one more note on the jumpers.
Jumpers are in.
Yeah, I got a note about jumpers for me. I wore coveralls for most of my former career. So a jumper's basically the same thing in my opinion, and I can't see myself ever wanting to go back to that unless I'm like wrenching on a car. That's just me though. I don't know. What do you think? Have you rocked the jumper before, or coveralls, or anything like it?
Not since I was a babe. Although in middle school was for 7th grade was right after crisscross became a thing.
Oh yeah.
So I definitely had you know, like your fake like Oshkosh Bagosh what are those things, overalls, and definitely wore them, you know, like one side down, like one shoulder strap down, or backwards. So, but yeah, middle school probably the last time I wore anything of that nature.
I love it.
I was naughty by nature, actually.
You weren't. I was gonna. Oh man, we're on the same wavelength. That's where I was going with it too.
Ooh. Dad jokes.
Oh, they're so wonderful. Speaking of dad jokes, it was just Father's Day. Did you do anything wonderful and celebrate that fine day that is Daddy-O Day?
Dog, I got mussels, man. It's pretty. We try to do it every Father's Day, because you just, you know, like, you want to have like that one thing that you really want to eat. And there's a really nice mussel place called Belgian Cafe. And they also do fancy schmancy beers. But they do a bunch of different types of flavorful mussels there, and that's kind of my thing. So I go and eat like 2 big old bowls of fancy schmancy mussels. And the kids actually ate mussels with me this year, which was like a big deal. So for those that don't know, we have 2 kids. They're 7 and 10, and it's, as people with children typically know, it's not exactly easy to get them to eat food that looks not quote unquote normal. So this year they actually got down with mussels that had like jalapeno and garlic, and yeah, it was very nice. So how was yours?
That sounds absolutely fantastic, by the way. I love mussels, and I don't even get to have that good East Coast style stuff that you got. But I do love mussels, so that sounds awesome. My Father's Day is going to be kind of extended out into the week a little bit, which is not on purpose, because I don't usually like it's my birthday week, it's my, you know, whatever week, because like, no, you got the day, just call it good. But ours
Thank you. You're right.
Sorry. Ours got a little bit interrupted because of weather, but it was good. We went to a local Scottish pub place that I haven't been to in a while but love, and they were serving a special of they specialize in like codfish and chips normally. They had sea bass fish and chips, and it was huge. It was enormous. Like, I don't know how big these fillets were. Probably almost a foot across. They were giant, and so that was delightful. But we did that, and then it was nap time for the little guy, and so I went and did a little target shooting, which I hadn't got to do in a very long time. And,
nice.
And then we were gonna go fishing, but that's where we got rained out. So we're trying to schedule in a quick little trip to the kiddie fishing pond at some point this week, just to make up for that lost day. But it was quite pleasant.
Nice. I mean, dude, your son's not going to know that it's like not really Father's Day or whatever. He'll just be stoked to go do that. So yeah, that's nice.
Well, it was really bizarre because we were like, okay, we'll go out the last hour that place is open, and you know, that'll work good with his nap and whatever. And we rolled out there, and it started raining, and we checked the phone, and it was going to rain for just that window that we had designated to go there. That's when it rained, and not really any other time. It just stopped after that, but the place was closed. So, c'est la vie.
Yeah, if you would have gone an hour earlier, the fish would have been biting.
They would have, and he would have been cranky because he would have been up an hour earlier than he needs to be. Which
creatures of habit, man.
This is the Dad Talk podcast. We also talk fashion, and we talk parenting.
Fashion, food, parenting, all the F's.
All of it. We also talk about guitar pedals sometimes, since that's what you do. Do you? You like guitar pedals? Do you do that occasionally?
I'm pretty keen on it. Dude, like since the last time we talked, we've done like a bunch of things. God, how was it? 2 years ago that we talked last?
2 years ago that we podcasted. I think that's.
I mean, that was Anomalies, so that was Anomalies time. So that would have been before our first Winter NAMM. So yeah, you're talking over 2 years ago, man. Wow. Yeah, we've done a few things since then.
It's so crazy to think about. Wow. I just need to. I need to backpedal just a little bit, just to frame where I was recording with you 2 years ago. I was standing in a lab. That job was really weird. A lot of the times, you were watching things do stuff, like watching machines work, but you didn't actually have to do physical things on them for a while. But you had to make sure they continued to run, and you had to fix them if they broke in the middle of the process, and blah 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 blah. I was like, well, this thing's going to be running for an hour and a half. And I scheduled my day because we had already talked about podcasting. I'd scheduled my day so I knew that I was going to be working with that machine while we were podcasting. Yeah. And I think the train was going by, so I was standing in this weird kind of fuel laboratory, in coveralls, and recording a podcast with you. The times have changed.
Yeah.
Not that any
I'm
of that
still in
matters.
the same room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You're still in the same place?
Same place, same room.
Well,
same clothes, probably.
Same exact clothes, unwashed.
Probably.
Good. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead. It was just a weird trip for me mentally for a second.
Yeah, no. Long story short is that we've done, so at that time we had done Anomalies, and then Feed Me was right at the same time after that, and we did, I don't know if we had done Bong Ripper by that point. No. That collaboration with the Bong Rippers.
I don't think so.
We hadn't done collaborations with Dwarfcraft, or maybe not even MXR was announced at that point. I can't remember. No, that was announced the year before.
I was going to say, that was already a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been kind of busy. Some things have been awesome. Some things have not been as awesome pedal wise, but things that are rad. I mean, things that have done well is that those collaborations, like the Bong Ripper collaboration, our Defeater collaborations. We just doing some small batch stuff like that, the 420 fuzz. Yeah, we've been pretty busy. Like I said, I haven't gone back to work, Shannon has gone back to work. We had both quit teaching, her in 2015, me in 2000, or no, she was 2014, I was 2015. She has since gone back to work. She missed working with her preschoolers. Missed that big interaction, and really getting back to teaching was a positive, and just monetarily benefits. You're talking $1,800 a month just for benefits, not including your doctor's visits and stuff. So it's kind of a great thing that she's gone back to work. And people are cool with waiting around 8 weeks or so to get something painted by her. So yeah, life is good, man.
It's good times. I mean, she knows. Excuse me. The frog was trying to come out of my throat. Yeah, I mean that can be a good situation, especially if it's something that she missed and wanted to do. I've been talking to some people, and it's weird how we tend to view things as this permanent thing. I'm quitting my job to do this. Or I'm going to go to this job and stay there for 1 billion years. It's not. It doesn't have to be that permanent. It doesn't have to be.
No.
I mean, it was this big, weird, scary leap. But then I kind of thought about it, and it was well, I've been, I can go back to work, if I have to. Yeah. I don't want to.
You can always go work somewhere else. There's always gonna be, if you don't try the thing that you really want to do, then why bother? You're gonna be miserable at this other job, and you're just gonna be worrying about or thinking about well, if I took more time to work with bands and work with makers and work with other people in the industry. And I'm really good at talking, I'm talking from your standpoint. I'm really good at talking to people, and I'm really good at what I can do. And Tone Mob has grown. Well, if I don't get off, it's better get off the pot situation. You can't do both, because then you're not giving your other job 100%. So yeah, you can always go back to work and do something else if this doesn't work out. And who knows, in 5 years someone else might take over your company, or you might dissolve the company to go do something else. Life isn't permanent, so why should your job be?
Exactly. Well, and like when I was thinking of Shannon's perspective, like I'm sure when she quit her job, she thought that's what she wanted to do, you know. And
Totally.
at the time it was, and then she tried it for a while and went, "Oh no, I actually really miss these things." But you never know until you try.
Yeah.
That's the whole crux of the situation is you got to try things to know where you want to go. And that's one of the things that I see. I don't know where we're going with this. This is like turning into a whole nother thing, but that's fine. I see all this pressure put on kids to go to school or get into a trade or whatever they're going to do. And I think they do need to find a way to support themselves as soon as they can. But I always think that a good, at least, now that I've kind of changed my views on some of this stuff, is to try a bunch of stuff. Try a bunch of things because you never know what's going to click with you. And if you can possibly, I mean, you got to pay the bills, but if you can possibly find something that makes you not just dread waking up, I mean, that's the best, And it's not always possible, but it's a goal to strive for, I think,
And if you don't have goals, then yeah. But by a show of hands for all the ToneMob.com listeners, how many of you went to college, graduated, have a degree, maybe even have a master's degree, and are working in the field that you chose to do when you started college? Oh, not even half of you. Cool. No, college is not for everybody. Trade school is not for everybody. Maybe working is not for some people, or, working in a traditional sense. I mean, most of us in our industry are not working in a traditional sense anyway. So I think it's especially now, it's just finding that delicate balance between helping somebody find the thing that they want to do for the next few years versus, coddling them and babying them and them not actually doing something with their lives and sponging off their parents or caregivers or brothers and sisters or whatever. So I don't know, whatever, dude. With that said, let's talk about gear.
I can't.
Whoever's still listening.
I think people have listened to this show for long enough to realize that the gear is a centering point, but it rarely is the, what do we want to call it? It's the central focus, but it rarely is the actual topic of conversation, because at some point you can only discuss clipping diodes so many times, and it's it's about the people behind it is the tagline
Yes.
for a reason, because I think getting to the meat and potatoes of how you think about things is interesting, although you might not even know why it would be interesting to somebody. The people who care about the gear enough to tune in, for an hour plus to listen to a gear podcast generally want to know, who am I buying from? Who's this guy? How does he view,
right.
What lens is he viewing things from? And it's something I realized I cared about. And I think, like I said, discussing the merits of true bypass versus buffered only goes so far for so many people.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know what I was trying to say with that, but I said it, and I can't take it back because it's
because I tried to stop us talking about before we start getting into politics.
Life and politics. I don't really like to get too heavy into that stuff because it is such a dirty, muddy, mucky place. But I think if you feel like you've learned something important through the process of running your business or doing what you're doing, I think it's important to let people know what your thoughts are. I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yep. Agreed.
So anyway, guitar pedals and stuff. What if
sure.
Last time we were talking, are you still primarily a bassist? Are you what has happened in the musical instrument category for Ryan since we last recorded?
So this is a bummer. I have zero time to play in a band, man. I was recording. I might have been doing Plutonian at that time, which was the two piece that I was in. drummer quit, so I was left alone. I was like, cool, I'm gonna like do program drums, and I'm gonna do sort of like I love like the way like the program drums and stuff sound on like Denali kind of stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna just keep making like bummer jams and like keep them spacey and heavy, and I'll program out these drums. Well, it turns out that doing that is a very time-consuming process. So you're trying to record guitar and bass and vocals, and you're trying to program drums in, and you're cutting and pasting stuff. It's ridiculous. And frankly, it takes away from like time to like spend time with my wife or do things with the kids or run them around or sacrifice time for Fuzzrocious to like get things done. So I can just like record a song, and I'm like, yeah, it just while I'm passionate about it has to step aside so I can get everything else in my life done and like kind of be happy, or try to be a happier person. So I honestly, I haven't been playing music at all. We tried to get our old band Caval back together, and it kind of just fell flat on its face. Like the spark wasn't there. And I think because we grew apart as musicians over like 2.5, 3 years. So like the kind of songs that I want to write maybe aren't the songs that our guitarist James was writing, and the drummer we hadn't played with in, I don't know, 5 years or something. So yeah, people changed, and it just didn't have that spark that made it special before. So we just kind of let that fizzle. And I haven't really done much since, but what I will say is that when I'm screwing around on like testing pedals out, or like, oh, look, a quick riff just happens to pop in my head, I kind of tend to pick up the baritone or the bass six more than the bass or like a standard guitar. There's something really fun and interesting about playing a bass six, because you can still get all the high mealy stuff as high as it'll go, but then you have almost bassy plinky plucky stuff. And for me personally, it feels better to play on some thicker strings. So that's kind of where I'm at. But in terms of like when it's time to, test a pedal and make a pedal, I still test it on all platforms, but I have to start with bass first to make sure that it has low end retention, or, maybe if it's like low mids emphasized, can I hear past that bump in the low mids and say, all right, well, are we actually losing bass, or is the bass still there, but the low mids are super hot? And then I can move out to guitar. So, start with bass, move out to guitar, find a happy medium, and then test it through with the bass six and a baritone and go from there. So yeah, I'm still trying to please everybody. But I still definitely get the rap, and people are like, oh, these are just bass effects. I'm like, no. And like, so these are all fuzzes? No, like 3 of them are fuzzes. The other 9 are not. So still working on that. So yeah. The roundabout thing is, I'm still a bassist at heart, but man, I love some bass six.
That's actually an instrument that I really don't have much experience with the bass six, other than picking one up in, a store and playing with it for a little bit. The ones I played weren't set up great, so I kind of like, I'm not in the market for this right now, and I kind of put them down. But I really see the appeal, especially now having been playing baritone a lot lately. And I really like baritone guitar. I never really thought that would be a thing that I cared about, but I love it. It's so fun.
Come on. How have you not before like last year like been like the baritone guy for a dude who loves Thrice as much as you do?
Well, that's a good question. I think the answer to that is because I would take my standard tuned guitars and just tune them down, which was obviously much less than optimal. But for
floppy strings, man.
Which is strangely enough, I'm staring directly at a guitar I used to do that with all the time. That it's my Tele Custom. It was played awful when you would do that, but somehow the sloppiness of the strings and the way those pickups are, it sounded amazing when it was dropped like that. but I play it in standard too often to like get a heavier set of strings and set it up that way permanently. Sure. But it did sound great. But yeah, since I got the millimetric, it's been a game changer. I can have a dedicated baritone, and yeah, I often am jamming the thrice licks on that.
Do you do B2B or do you do drop A?
Both. I usually am B2B, but occasionally I'll go to drop A.
It's really satisfying, right?
It is. It's like,
yeah,
it's great.
That's the exact sound it makes. It's a bar.
And when you plug it in, since we last recorded, and I've talked about it a few times. Since then, I acquired a Sun Beta lead, which I'd been wanting for a long time. And when you dime the gain on that and you plug it into a baritone, it's just like shaking the walls of it's just shaking the entire existence of everything when you do that, and it's pretty awesome, I have to say.
So speaking of Sun, switching over to the band, we got this private message on Instagram. And I strongly dislike. I love the idea that like people can like contact on there, but I hate it because it just feels so not professional. But we got a private message from like Sun O official or something like that, and I'm like, oh cool. I'm like, dudes from Sun are interested in talking to us about pedals or whatever. Mm-hmm. Great. And the text reads like something to the effect of, would you like to advertise on our Instagram channel? You can send us pedals and we'll advertise, and we have 80,000, blah 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 blah. And so I'm kind of looking and I'm like, seems kind of weird. I wouldn't think that the Sun guys would be like trying to like get free gear, and like why would they be doing advertisements? Okay, maybe they've got like media marketing that someone else is handling this. So I kind of look, and I'm looking, and I was like, with whom am I speaking? He says his name, and I go to Wikipedia and I look at like members, past members, whatever. I'm like, yeah, that's not on here. So it's like some dude from like Brazil or something who got the name tag and is kind of just like reposting like Sun stuff or whatever, and was like trying to get companies to like advertise with them. I'm like, oh, I'm not falling for that one, but like, ew, like, and like Sun of all things, like it's not a huge market. Like I don't think of dudes who like Sleep and Sun and things like that to be like, oh, Instagram is where I live. And I'll no, man, you're going to Sun to watch a band like set up, full stacks and just drone. Like it kind of almost doesn't matter what pedals they're using.
I mean, I hate to say it, but it's true. Like the way that they play and what they play, it's like most of that's coming from their multiple amps, at least as far as I can tell. Yeah, I don't even know what pedals they use. I don't think most of their audience cares. I think most of the audience cares what amps they're playing, because that's like a focal point of their performance.
Yeah. And what brand, actually we can talk with Tom's girlfriend about if she can make us all robes. Maybe that's where we need to go.
We need cloaks. Like some sort of ancient...
Cloaks, there you go. Yeah, not robes, cloaks.
Yeah, they're cloaks. Like
Cloak core.
You want to start a cloak core band?
Yeah, man. Yeah, let's do it.
It has to be all, like, fantasy themed, though, for me. Like, we gotta go...
I'm out.
Come on, man. Like, I wanted to be like space elves or something with cloaks. No? Nothing?
I'm out. I'm totally out.
This is not going to work. No wonder no one can be in a band with you. You won't embrace others' ideas. Come on.
Yeah, If I write a song, I can't change it. It's just everything's one way. It's how I want it.
All right, John Lennon.
Someone definitely. I like to do this thing where I go and I type in like Fuzzrocious, awful, Fuzzrocious, garbage, Fuzzrocious. Like I like to do that to myself.
Why do you do that?
And try and find all what like shit talk people are saying about Fuzzrocious. And I was going on a YouTube binge and looking at comments because I typically like to reply back to people like if there's like this pedal sucks, and I like to talk to them and say like, well, how about some positive constructive criticism? Like, what don't you like about the pedal, or what would you like to see in it that would make it better? Because I'm always looking to hear like what people genuinely think about something and how I can make that better. Because if enough people say, well, I don't like the way it hits this frequency, or it feeds back like this, and I really wish it did this, well, then I need to make that change if enough people are saying the same thing. But I was looking at comments on a Premier Guitar video of a demo that they did for us, and oh god, somebody writes, I literally just had a brain fart.
Oh no!
Everything just flew out of my brain.
Somebody wrote
talking
something
about
negative. Premier Guitar.
Someone wrote something negative. Not the first time or the last time.
I'm trying to jog it for you. I can't. I don't even know.
I said Fuzzrocious awful. Like Fuzzrocious blah blah blah. What did we say before that?
I mean, was it even? Was it really a like? He was just a negative comment, right? Like, this thing sounds terrible. It wasn't. I'm assuming with most of these things, they're not usually very detailed or thought out. They're just like, this is terrible. Like,
oh, that's what it was. Thank you. Just reminded me. Okay. So the comment was something to the effect of, we do all the work and the customer gets none of the benefit. And I was like, is this like some meme that like I don't know that like the kids are saying these days or whatever? And I'm like, what does that actually mean? I'm like, sometimes this stuff like the comments don't make sense. Like, I get it. Someone goes on and says like, this sucks, this is terrible, and like whatever. But like when there's like comments that are like veiled like that, I'm like, but what do you actually mean? Because like we kind of did do the work. It's like, but maybe it's just maybe you don't get the benefit of it, but we're hoping that someone else does, because that's what we're trying to do is make a guitar pedal or a bass pedal, whatever you want to call it, an effect pedal for people that nobody wants to buy. We're just going to do all the hard work and put it out there and spend thousands of dollars and do that because we don't want anybody to buy it. Like, that makes no sense. Anyway,
that is bizarre. And you know what? Some of the comments like that on, I'm not talking about just your brand, just across the board, everyone experiences this. It's like, I'm like, those don't make any sense. And I don't think people who leave those comments, I don't think they really think about what effect that has on the manufacturer, because guess what? Most of these companies aren't very big, and they really, really do genuinely care about what the customers think about their product, because that's how they make their living.
Yeah.
And so now you're sifting through a bunch of garbage like that, going, oh, what does that mean? You know, like why? And you're burning time and energy that could be put to useful things because you're trying to make sure that everybody's happy. And one thing I was gonna say is, you know, have you? I know you're a people pleaser like myself. Have you ever done the search like that and then had a positive interaction with any of these trolley guys?
I have.
Okay.
Actually, so I think that's actually I think like deep in my heart when I go and I comment back to people when I ask for like, well, tell me how you can make it better. Like some were like, this dude like wrote like in the third person, Johnny Lasagna says meh, and I'm like, well, I understand that like you're not like stoked on it, but like what is it not doing that like you're stoked on? I want that guy to write back and be like, well, I don't like that it does this, or, you know, it sounds like this. So on the 420 fuzz video that Reverb did for us. So, for people who don't know, we do a pedal. We release them in batches of 42. It was made for 420. So it's like a stoner fuzz, and it's, you know, it's very tongue in cheek. Like we're having fun with it. And, it's been doing very well. We're about to release the third run, and so I looked at the Reverb videos because like the the viewership is like through the roof on it, which is like awesome for us in Reverb. Like we're very, very happy, and it's overly positive feedback. But someone went on there and was like, this pedal sounds absolutely terrible. The video is really cool though. I wrote back. I'm like, I'd love to know more about what didn't do it for you in the video. So the guy actually took the time and wrote back and was like, well, I really like that it doesn't do, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but it doesn't do this. I'm really looking for a fuzz that does X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, well, this one can do that. Like if you set, sag your volume back a little bit on your guitar, it'll do that sound. I said, but you may want to look at our Gray Stash or our heliotropic that may do like this sound. And the guy wrote back like, cool, I'll check it out. Now, I don't know if it may or may not have turned into a sale. I don't exactly know, but just the fact that the person wrote back and didn't be like, you're a piece of garbage. You and all your pedals suck. They're crap. Like the fact that he actually wrote back and gave an answer, that still walks away. I can walk away as feeling good about that. Maybe it's not a win, but, yeah, dude, I would say 1 out of every like 30 trolls, you get to actually have a conversation, and some of them, I think they just don't realize that, like you said before, we're going to go on and we're going to read that. Brian from Small Sound is the only person responding to that email. He's going to read that. It's so much easier just to write a negative comment and walk away and you said your thing. I think it's cathartic for a person, I guess, to say that, but they're not thinking about the people who run the company that they're actually a human being and they care. Like VW doesn't really care that much that people don't like the way a GTI shifts that much. It's tried and true. More people like it, but people will go on and just say that they don't like a thing and walk away. People won't take the time so much to be like, wow, I really like the way this thing does this. I'd love to see more of that, but that takes more energy.
It does. It takes energy and time. And, the reason I asked about that is because, like you said, it's like 1 out of 30. And I know that we kind of have a similar wiring. And, I actually try to take the time, on Instagram specifically, because I've said it a million times, it's my favorite platform overall.
Yes, same here.
But it's, what I've realized is that like a lot of people who followed me early on, that they just know that I'm like a gear nerd and I like to post pictures of guitars and pedals that are both mine and things that I find on there that are interesting and blah 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 blah, so on and so forth, things related to the podcast. It's just like this kind of melting pot of me and guitars, and I think a lot of people are surprised when I've noticed a weird trend where somebody will comment something and then I'll reply to it. It doesn't have to be a negative or positive or anything, but I've had people comment things and then I reply and they're like, whoa, you replied. I'm like, yeah, that's what the whole point of this is, right? Is communication, isn't it? Like they're like, well, we don't have, pages don't usually reply to me. Like, well, then they're making a mistake, and I'm seeing a lot of these, for lack of a better term, guitar meme channels that, and I don't mean like the memes that are like original memes and stuff that are kind of funny and entertaining. I'm talking about the ones that are just like reposting, Jimi Hendrix all day. And it's just like,
yeah,
it's like they're kind of annoying, right? Like some of them are cool and some of the videos are cool, but like overall, and then you look at their bio and they're like DM for advertising. And it's like, that's all that is. It's not a brand. It's not a person. Yep. It's this weird thing, and I think that's why some people are shocked when you do take the time to reply. It's really weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people, they like even so you use Tone Mob and Fuzzrocious as examples. So it's our brands, and I think a lot of people don't even really understand. They may not really even understand what Tone Mob is, or that you have a blog, that there's a podcast, that it's a multi-headed creature that does all these things. And yes, it is, and we're going back to umbrellas. It umbrellas so many things. They don't actually understand, like, it's just you, and you're running this thing and trying to build what Tone Mob is versus like what you saw there, or even with Fuzzrocious, people tag Fuzzrocious and all these things, and I have to be like, that's a really cool guitar, or like that's a really cool pedal you made, but it's not a Fuzzrocious product. And like, well, what do you mean? Like, go to our website, just click it in the bio. Like, we make effects. Oh, I had no idea. I thought it was just like cool fuzz things. Okay.
I wonder if maybe that's and because this is something I think a lot about now. I didn't at the time, but maybe in retrospect, it was a bit of a misstep in branding on our part, because it could be what am I trying to say? Like, misconstrued as some sort of generic hashtag.
Absolutely.
Both of us, and like I've said this before. In retrospect, I would not have called it Tone Mob or made the logo look that way. That was all just like my early efforts at like, I don't know, I want to do a thing, but I don't know what the thing even is. I think I'd like to do a podcast. I'll start with Instagram because that makes sense to me. And then it evolved, which is great, and I'm happy about it. But sometimes when I'm talking to other brands about their branding, I am cautious of that stuff for the same reason. And I think we both have a little bit of that same. More people know that Fuzzrocious is a pedal company. It's a lot more obvious, but I don't know that. I think we both have that kind of problem. It's not bad. It's just a thing.
Oh, it's 100%. And I definitely have thought many, many, many times over the technically 10 years that we've been doing this that like, I was like, what if we changed our name? I'm like, oh, like when American Nightmare changed their name to Give Up the Ghost, it didn't go over well. I don't know. Like, and I loved like the Daylight, Super Heaven dudes, but man, I love Daylight better as a band name. I'm sure they probably did too. It's anytime that someone has to change their brand's name, it's a mega, mega, mega risk that you're going to lose so many followers because people just don't, the way social media works. Like, it's not an announcement where everyone, like, 18,000 followers instantly know, oh, Fuzzrocious is now Cat Butt Effects. Like, cool. Like, and then they see Cat Butt, like, oh, that used to be Fuzzrocious. No, that's not going to happen. Like, you're basically starting over.
You are.
So yeah, we just have to go all in now and just trying to educate people better about what we are.
It is, and it's also like with people starting out, I'm always just like, really? Like, I know that naming is one of the most difficult things, especially when you're getting off the ground. But I've told some people from the get-go, like, okay, you're really small at this point, which is good. This is good because I think you've got this same problem that I have, or something like that. Like that now I can't go back. I can't change it. In retrospect, like I'm at the Tone Mob on Instagram, which is wonderful. I think I've said this before, but the only reason I did that instead of Tone Mob is because some lady who doesn't appear to really use her account very often has Tone Mob, which I don't
Weird.
really know why. I don't know if that's like her name, some twist on her name or what it is, but like,
she meant to hit the M and she hit B instead.
Yeah, and
it's a Tone Mom.
Yeah, I mean, it just appears to be just a regular personal feed. I don't look at it very much anymore, but sometimes I'm like, I should have just DM'd her and seen if I could get it, because I'd already like paid for the website and all that other stuff before I'd thought about it. Because before I thought too much about it. This was early. I'd already grabbed the Tone Mob because of her, and then went, maybe I should just DM her and see if I could buy it from her for a little bit. I'm sure she's not that attached to it, type of thing. And I just said, nah, it's okay. And where I'm going with that is there's a lot of brands that starting out have that same issue. Just try to get what you want, I guess. I don't know, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. We should start buying up all the other brands, like the Earthquaker devices, the JHS, just put those in front of everything in case they choose to like change their brands and be like, we can just sit on all of them.
That's a wonderful idea.
It's a mean idea.
I don't think they would care. I think they've got good tags already. They've established. But I don't know where I was going with that whole story. My brain is not working.
We're talking about brands, Instagram, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But
weird
dude,
stuff.
let's straight up let's tell some people what our brands are going to be putting out like kind of like really soon.
We should talk about that, shouldn't we? Being as we're getting up close, aren't we?
Yeah.
We've been teasing this, and some of the inner, the Tone Mob family guys, they've known about it for a while, but due to a bunch of things, it's gotten kind of backlogged. But now is a good time to talk about it. When did we first start talking about what we have decided to call Typhon?
So actually
7, 8 months, 9 months ago?
No, dude. It's been we're coming close to like almost a year and a half.
No way.
From the first time that we shipped something back and forth.
Whoa.
Can you believe it?
No, that's bizarre, but I do remember that little box. Because it had the 2 stomp switches. Wow, that's crazy.
Yes. The bong ripper with the bong rippers, that was legit like a year before, and then we hit like kind of like a year of, I think it was 7 times I sent that back and forth with them when we were actually like legit tweaking it against their rigs.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that something had popped up in like one of my feeds or something like that, and I was like, oh man, it's been a year since we've been like working on this. And I want to say we sent ours back and forth maybe close to 7 times. To like tweak the tone section and tweak the clipping and that I think the hardest thing for us was that tone was figuring out the sweep of that tone pot, right?
Yeah, it was because so I guess we should explain what it does first before we go.
Oh, can I explain? Can I explain how this started?
Go for it.
Okay, so Blake gives me a call and he said, I did something really stupid this weekend or this week or whatever. And I was like, well, tell me all about it. He's like, I took all of my LPB1, which is like the old EHX boost, like this very simple little transistor boost. I took all of them that I have iterations of for like other companies, and I put 4 of them in a row. He's like, it was the craziest sound. I was like, it was straight fuzz. It was all these things, and I was like mixing around, and I was getting all these like crazy textures that like you normally don't get from the normal boost. He's like, would you want to make that? I'm remembering that right?
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
It was like LPB1s it was a mix of LPB1s and EP boosters, which are basically, mostly the same thing.
Yeah.
But I had 5 or 6 of them, and I was just like, I wonder what would happen if I slammed this one with this one. And it was like, whoa. It was like a really late night experiment. I was blown away with like what you could do by how you place the knobs, and then we kind of spun out of control with it, and that's where the Typhon came from. And
yeah, so Blake knew that he wanted a big muff tone stack on there, because obviously there's no tone with any of these boosts, so we want something to have that. And we knew that a clean blend would be important for guitarists and bassists alike. And that was definitely a win, because man, like the textures that come out of this thing when you just dial in a little bit of clean is like, especially on guitar, like that chimey like top texture that you get on it is pretty fun. And then, of course, I wanted to screw it up, and I took the transistors in the first 2 stages, and there's a toggle so you can flip the orientation of the legs of the transistor so they go backwards. So basically, it functions in a way that it's not supposed to function. It starts to sound a little weird, broken. You get weird harmonic textures that come out of it. So basically went made this Typhon of a beast that has four cascading stages of varying distortion that goes in, and then you can change the way the first 2 kind of harmonically clip. This thing really it came out even better than I think either of us even thought it would be.
Yeah, and then it's got the one of the things that we did. I remember you originally made it with a switchable germanium diode, and
Yeah.
it was like I always just found myself just leaving it on. So it was just like this weird decision that we made. But it's just like it's taken for as simple as it is. I've had a few guys play it, and people do get a little bit confused about it. And we're gonna try to make the demo video like very explanatory, whatever. I didn't say that right. But it's just because it can do so much, and I've told people it can go all the way from like just a more better preamp type thing where it just adds some sparkle and some chime, all the way to just like crushing and like oscillating and noisy in the way that you would never expect something that simple and that that sort of something from those roots to do. It was very, very surprising.
And I think I'll tell you, man, we had Paul and I were getting the guitar demo together. We shot on Friday, and the two of us were smiling as we were like, turning up stage 1, turning it down, turning up stage 2, going through all those, and then getting into stacking. So like we did a really, like pretty plinky guitar playing. And then we showed like from low gain all the way through high. Then we did much more like strummy chordy playing. And then we did like in a third session, we put it into our heliotropic fuzz, which for those that don't know, it's a really, I mean, it can do low gain fuzz, but I mean, it's a machine that's just a ballsy, huge sounding big fuzz. We pushed the Typhon into that and had like insane results. So like I can't wait for people to see what this thing can do, because the fact that it sounds rad on quiet stuff, it sounds rad on just normal strummy chordy stuff, and the fact that you can use this to push into other pedals and like change what they're doing, I can't wait to see what people do with this thing once they wrap their heads around how to dial in each of these stages.
Yeah. And one thing I always like try to point out is like, it's kind of you can put it wherever you want it in your chain to just add whatever level of grit you need anywhere. It can be in the, I love using delays with effects loops. It works great in that situation.
Yeah.
It just it's kind of just like we've struggled really hard with what to call it because of its Swiss Army knife type thing, and I still don't know if we've settled on what to call it. Like I almost thought about calling it a gain workstation or something. I don't even know. We'll figure it out maybe before it drops, but it's coming pretty soon. I'm excited.
Yeah.
So
yeah, man, I'm glad we got to join the team to for us being, friends and then become in a small way like business partners to do something together. I think it's been a nice culmination of where you and I started to where we are now, to make something together, man. I always talk about how important collaboration is. And I think it's what you're doing with Tone Mob and working, bringing brands that your crowd doesn't exactly know, and then having those brands hype on their end to bring people to you. It's a win-win for everyone. I mean, every pedal that you've done has sold really, really well. So I hope we can do the same for you.
Yeah, I think we will. I think we maybe will have to. I hope every time some people look at this and they're like, well, of course that's gonna sell, and I've said that to people too. Like, of course that's going to move. But it doesn't matter when you're, like, invested in it, regardless. Every single person that I've ever talked to in this business, when it's time to launch something, they're, like, biting their fingernails, myself included. Because, like, what if people don't like it? Like, you put all this work and this effort into it, and, like, what if it just falls flat and nobody cares? That's a terrible feeling. So every time I've done something, I've been on pins and needles, like, I hope people like it. I don't want to have to pour all this thought into it and have it be not something that people enjoy. Like even things that you think
that's every industry though, man. Think about like a car maker, whatever, like, you go to Target and like whatever market pantry brand pancakes or like whatever you've got going, like everything that they're making, they want people to love. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people miss with, they don't understand, or maybe aren't sympathetic to, with these companies, like ours, that we put this thing out here because like we're in love with this thing and all we want to do is please people. I hope people are pleased by it, man.
I think they will. It's really fun, and I think we've set a good expectation for it. That's the thing, is I don't want people to plug in and think they're instantly going to be able to figure it out. I think it's got something for everyone, regardless of what you're doing, but I think you do have to, dedicate a little bit of time to it to really understand how it interacts with the rest of your rig, because the controls are really interactive. If you set one of those knobs up higher or lower and don't touch anything else, it will drastically change how the whole pedal sounds.
Yeah. You saying that made me think of like Joe Anastasio from Lone Wolf will always talk about, like, he doesn't do manuals for his pedals and all that stuff, and basically he's just like, and he'll tell people, it's like, F him, like you get in there and play the pedal. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? You're supposed to go and turn those knobs until you find a sound that you like. And if you don't find a sound in 20 minutes, then you need to spend an hour, or you need to go put it down and come back to it later. I think that's a good thing to think, that I'm going to urge people that need to think about, like, yeah, well, there's manuals for the stuff that Fuzzrocious does, but anything that we're doing or that Tone Mob puts out in other collaborations, like, you may get something with the pretense that you think it's going to be something, and you plug it in and it's something else, or you may not jive with the controls like the first time that you plug it in, but it doesn't mean it's time to flip it. I think in this industry, it's so easy to just drop your thing on reverb and be like, I got this thing, I don't like it. Here it is. Or they don't say I don't like it. It's like, oh, I don't have room for it on my board or something, or, whatever the excuse may be. People need to spend more time with the thing that they get. Because the fact of the matter is that many things in our industry ain't cheap. And not everyone, many people work hard for their money. So, if you're going to spend your money on something and you're taking a chance on it, like, you should give it some time, Yeah. Give anything that you buy some more time, more than one band practice or 5 minutes playing in your bedroom on your bedroom rig. Because you think about the amount of hours that goes into somebody making something. They wouldn't be putting it out if it was garbage.
Most people.
Most
people.
Yeah, not everyone. Most many. A lot. Qualifying terms.
Yeah, we got to use those qualifying terms. But yeah, I wanted just to say thank you for working with me on it, and if it, all the brands that I've been fortunate enough to get to do stuff with, I never thought that was going to be part of the equation, and it's leading to some really, really interesting places, this being one of them. So hopefully we can do some more of that. There's always irons in the fire around here, but boy, we just did a big advertisement for our project, didn't we?
Sure did. Pretty glowing.
Hashtag paid
no,
ad.
man, I'm pleased with it too. I just think you should be more honest with people that you're only doing these collaborations so that you can make money.
Yeah, that's why. This is
what if?
This is the most profitable way that I know to do it, for sure. That's the way to do it.
Yeah,
spend a year and a half.
Split your money with another company. Woohoo!
Well, and spend a year and a half figuring it out too. That's always a good thing to do. Just spend the most amount of time where you're absolutely bringing in nothing. That's the way to make money in this business. Woo!
Hell yeah.
But one thing, I guess, since we're doing the big paid ad spot, we got 23 of them available.
Yeah, 23 on first run.
Which is also a great way to make money, is by only putting out a handful. I think we started with that a long time ago. We're like, let's do around 20 or so, and I think we may have undershot ourselves a little bit, but we will we'll put more out if you guys like them. But If not, this is it. So we'll find out.
Yeah, we're gonna make more, man. I had a ball making these. Actually, they're super fun to actually build too. So that's also like another exciting piece of this is, we've really streamlined the process a lot. So when Paul and I are building these, we're just like, oh, these are a dream to solder. Oh, these are a dream to make. They're a dream to put everything in. It feels really good to be making these things. I said, after we made this video, we definitely should have doubled or tripled what we made, man. Cause this, whatever you want to call it, what were you saying? A gain platform?
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah. Gain platform, gain workstation, gain something. I don't know. We really should have had this figured out by
It's
now.
awesome. In fact, people should probably just buy two. So you can put one at the front of your chain and one at the back.
You could get nuts with that. That would be very, very, very versatile. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Well, we've gone for a little while now, and we just did a whole big thing. I don't know if I've ever done that with any of the other releases. Where it's just like, here's everything about it. Maybe I should, so people aren't so confused. But
dude, yeah, tell the story more often, man. I want to know how these things get started. I'd love to know how. Like Joel made the Therme or like whatever, like where does it all start? Where does it go? How did it become the thing that it becomes? Yeah, man. What inspired you to make that sound?
Well, you just need to listen to the 2 episodes ago, I think, and you'll find out.
Yes, 2 episodes ago. Reprise. Joel Corte of Chase Plus Audio. Reprise.
There he is. Stroller blading. Just stroller
yes.
blading. All right, well, Ryan, I know this. We've already answered this question, but since so much has changed since last time we recorded, what is your pizza requirements still the same, or do you have a change in taste these days?
I think I talked about the pizza last time that I was on, and I'll still stand by and say that the pizza from Franco's on Route 70 in Marlton is still the most exciting pizza to eat because it has meatballs, sausage, ham, and bacon on it with a little bit of red sauce, gravy, just a little bit, and the only thing that's overpowering it is meat. And there's a ton of garlic on it. I think that's still where I'm at, man. I think it's still like the most fun, exciting pizza to eat, and Sicilian pizza can go. Yeah, I'm trying not to curse too much. So,
go.
Yeah, man.
Go,
yeah, pizza's still where it's at.
Pizza. I like the sound of that pizza. That sounds unbelievably up my alley. So.
Yeah, dude.
Good times. Well, Ryan, you have anything else you want to plug at the end of this here presentation?
People should definitely give the Typhon a shot, and I think it's going to be worth every penny. Make videos with that thing because we want to see the videos so some more people can get this thing and see why they should have it too. And 420 Fuzz. I want to keep making more of these things, man. We keep making them in batches of 42. I want to make more. So go see that and come see us all at Fear the Riff.
Oh, yes. We will be there. Both of us.
At New York.
Yep. I'll be the guy wandering around with meat sauce all over his face. That'll be me. Which is the most attractive the most attractive picture I could have painted of myself. That's gross.
Sounds good. I'll bring you some Crocs.
Thanks, brother. All right. Well, for Ryan, this is Blake, and as always, folks, good luck and good tones. So there you have it. Another episode in the can. Ryan is such a delight, and the whole Fuzzrocious fam is a delight. They're good times. And they're making fun stuff, so check them out if you haven't had the chance to. Fuzzrocious.com. That's pretty easy. Just Google Fuzzrocious. They're the only thing that's going to pop up. And if you'd like to dip your toe in the Fuzzrocious waters, the Typhon is available right now. I think it turned out really good. It can do a whole bunch of stuff, and there's a couple demos out there for guitar and bass with a lot of knob tweaking. to try to show the whole range of what it can do. So it's out there at tonemob.com/store right now. And if you just need more Tone Mob in your life, you can always check out the Patreon. There's a Tone Mob Patreon. There's all kinds of good exclusive episodes that are coming your way. A lot of shooting the breeze with my good friend Justin Porter. Maybe some extended guest interview type spots if I can wrangle them. It's all there, tonemob.com/Patreon. Check it out. And until then, I'll talk to you next week. Bye. One last thing before we totally sign off here. I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.